All right. So this week, I only saw one new performance-related PR. Maybe someone else has some other ones, but the only one I saw this week was actually from related to the manager to implement a TTL cache. Um, and there were impressively, there were actually some performance results and graphs included in this. So uh, that's always really nice to see. Um, so that looks good. Well, I don't know if it really looks good. I glanced at it. I'm hoping it looks good because that will be good if it can be approved. Um, I also did not see any closed performance-related PRs this week. I think everybody's getting ready for Memorial Day weekend in the U.S., so I have a feeling that may be related. Um, but there were a couple of updated PRs. Uh, the D3N cache changes for upstream and RGW. It looks like after lots and lots of testing and updates and things that this is passing tests. I don't Casey on the call. He had responded to it. Maybe Adam, have you been tracking this at all?
I have not.
Okay. Well, it looks like maybe it's making good progress, so that's excellent. Uh, hopefully that will be able to be merged.
I think Ollie has been our primary contact with people working on that downstream, or not downstream, but in the university working on that.
Sure. So maybe exciting. We'll see. Let's see. Next, Gabby is still working on removing allocations from RuxDB. He mentioned this morning in the course stand-up that he's hitting some kind of bug on his laptop, but not in the test cluster. So it sounds annoying, and I think he's trying to track down exactly what's going on. But there's just continued work on trying to make sure that is really stable before we merge it in. Um, for reference, though, that's a really big performance win on the right side. The KB sync thread in in BlueStore is quite busy again on very fast hardware, where we kind of go back and forth on whether or not it's a bottleneck. We make it better, and then we get on faster hardware, and then it's a bottleneck again. So this change primarily benefits us by reducing the amount of work that the KB sync thread has to do. That RocksDB has to do, and by virtue of that, the KB sync thread. Okay. Next, Adam's PR to set a new compression blob size, specifically to 64 KB. There was some discussion on that and testing and things. At one point a while back, I looked at it and thought it was good, so I approved it. And Igor just very recently this week looked at it and also approved it. So I think we're all in agreement that this is a good idea, good decision. It just needs to be tested and approved, and it has been approved, I guess, but just pass tests and get it in. Otherwise, no movement on a lot of things. I owe people a new version of the whip, the cache binning PR. That's been rebased several times in several branches. It all more or less seems to work, but we need to get a real PR in place now that Calm Family Sharding has made it in. So at some point in the coming weeks or months, I'll get back to that and actually update it, and hopefully we'll get it in. Let's see. On that, related to the ISC 21 topic below, there is a PR for subtree map removal from the MDS journal. And I've talked to Patrick a little bit about that. I think he thinks it's too big to merge in one go. He wants to break it up into smaller pieces. But that, for Cephfest, I think is actually still really a critical PR, especially since it seems like some of the other work that happened to change the ephemeral pinning code to distribute dirfrags rather than subdirectories has not dramatically improved things. So at some point, I really want to focus on helping get that PR in. But otherwise, there's a number of other things here that just been kept on the back burner. The Onode pinning work from both Igor and Adam. We have to make a decision on that and figure out what we're going to merge. They each have their own versions of that PR. And yeah, just other random stuff. Nothing real interesting to update for now. Oh, good. Core folks have made it. So I just went through PRs. Gabby, I mentioned yours. You mentioned this morning you're seeing just an issue on your laptop, but not in the test cluster. Was that right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure why. The desktop is the Officinalis machine.
So it works on Officinalis, but not on the laptop?
No, the Officinalis is running fine, but the laptop is just seeing crazy issues.
Okay. Huh. Well, good luck.
Every time I remove the Ceph conf, it works fine, but then after the second time I run, it's got the same issue.
Hmm. Well, yeah. Good luck. I hope you can figure it out quick. Those kinds of issues are never fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same.
All right.
Yeah.
Are there any PRs I missed, guys? I didn't see anything that I closed, and just the one new one. All right. But moving on. The only discussion topic I have for today is that Patrick had come to me a couple of weeks ago wanting to know if we were going to do another submission for the International Supercomputing Conference for Cephfs. We did this last year for ISC 20. We didn't do badly. We did okay. Not as nearly as good as we could have done, I think, if we can nail down a couple of things in Cephfs. But we did okay. So the question was, do we do another one of these for this? I don't have the full Officinalis cluster like we did last year. We've distributed those to developers to work on. But there is a chance that we might be able to do another Amazon EC2 submission, or possibly it looks like David Galloway has made some progress on getting our new performance nodes set up, so I might be able to do it on that cluster. But in the meantime, I still had a couple of Officinalis nodes that I could use. I did some smaller scale testing, and specifically we're wanting to know whether or not some of the changes that have been put in for ephemeral pinning to distribute diffrags rather than subdirectories has improved the test results where we have multiple clients all writing files to a single directory. That has historically been a really tough use case for Cephfs. And the thought was that this might do better. So I ran some tests over the last week looking at this. The link is in the chat window, also in the Etherpad. And unfortunately, the results so far have been that no, in fact, we are not seeing better performance in that scenario with the new ephemeral pinning code. These are specifically the MD test hard results. That's in columns E through H. In fact,
Mark, would it
Yes.
be okay to share the document? I cannot access it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I must have not shared it properly. Please try again.
Thank you. Much better.
Yes, that was my fault. I tried to share the link without having given anyone permissions.
I cannot blame you because I always have to share it twice. It so doesn't work first time ever.
So yes, the columns E through H are the ones that we wanted to improve. The easy test results, we can do better. We can do much better than we're doing now. But even in the last round of testing a year ago, the ephemeral pinning helped fairly dramatically, as you're seeing here, right? That well, as long as you have the distribution, the value set at 1.0, so that you're always doing it. If you set it as smaller, then you still are using dynamic subtree partitioning for some of them, and that just slows everything down. So as long as you're fully using the ephemeral random pinning, then for the easy tests, we do better. Not perfect. I'll get back to that later. For the hard tests, though, in fact, we're twice as fast for writes if we just pin everything to one MDS. If we pin that really hot directory with lots of clients all accessing it, trying to write files out, just pinning to a single MDS is like twice as fast for writes than trying to do active-active MDS balancing. And no matter if we're doing dynamic subtree partitioning or if we're doing random dir entry or dirfrag distribution to MDSs, it's not that. It's something else. Maybe journaling on the authoritative MDS. Maybe it's caps, client caps that are not being relinquished fast enough, or maybe it's the locking in the distributed cache. There's lots of nastiness that this could be, but the MDSs are all very idle. The OSDs are all even more idle, and very little work is actually getting done. So that's unfortunate. With distribution, active distribution, we do see better read performance. So it's very much related to the write path. It's not great. It's only faster for having 24 MDSs. And we're still only seeing like 30,000 read IOPS, which is pretty pathetic. But it's better. So at least there's some value there. But write path, no. So my plan with this... Oh, before I move on the easy test side, we do see benefit in the right path to doing distribution with using ephemeral pinning with a random distribution. The problem is that it's very clumpy. We only, in this case, have 96 clients, each of which have a directory that they're writing to. We have 24 MDSs in this case. If you think about the way random distributions work, that's going to result in a very uneven random distribution. Lots of clumpiness, lots of cases where one particular MDS might have more directories associated with it than others. The spread is actually quite large, more than I think you'd expect if you haven't done a lot of work with this kind of thing. A uniform distribution would look much better. We've done tests like that in the past a year ago and saw that performance could double by having a uniform versus a random distribution in this kind of scenario. So if we could figure out a way where instead of doing random distributions for ephemeral pinning, we did uniform distribution, round robin, with a shared state between MDSs that just iterated so that every new directory lands on a new MDS, I suspect that we do much better in this test. Maybe not much better in reality, I don't know. But at least in this particular test case, it would be far, far better. So I may look at trying to do something like that. We'll see. So the gist of it is that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. We could probably double our scores in the easy test fairly easily. And if we can figure out why the right tests are so bad, maybe we can do better there. But we should do much better in both of these. So anyway, we've got work to do. To get there, the first thing I want to do is wall clock profiling in the MDS to really try to figure out what it's waiting around doing. I apparently multiple MDSs in this case. We have lots of them. I think the other PR from ukernel, the one that changes the way that we encode subtrees in the MDS journaling, potentially has some. I think that has a lot of potential to help if we're still seeing that as a big bottleneck, which we saw previously. Otherwise, FFS is really complicated. the code is, at least for me, I'm not the best coder in the world, but it's kind of intense. So I'm hoping that maybe we can clean some of that up. We'll see. That's all I've got. Questions? All right. Well then, that was the only topic I had. Josh or Adam or anyone else, anything you guys would like to talk about this week?
No, not really. I mean, previous week and this week, I'm basically trying to switch BlueFS from having one huge log into smaller logs, which is not going very bad, but I'm getting very large changes in code base, and I actually have to redo the work to make it in a small steps that we can verify, because I don't want to break BlueFS. So no, I don't have really anything to talk about yet.
Adam, I think that's actually really interesting because one of the things when I was trying to look at the sharding, like implement sharding in BlueStore by kind of like hijacking that whole transaction state machine, the big question I had is what happens at the BlueFS layer, right? So if you can do like finer grained locking there, that maybe helps.
Well, I'm a bit nervous when massive changes are going to BlueFS, and hence maybe we should suggest some to consider to parallel implementation for at least for some time. So let's have BlueFS version 1, which is current stable version, and then fork to another one with additional stuff and provide an ability to switch between them, or at least come back to the original implementation if something is going wrong.
That's fair, Igor. There's probably a reasonable. Go ahead, Adam.
Igor, but still preserving the data structures and on this format.
Preferably yes, but I am afraid it's not possible. Well, yeah, I don't know since I haven't seen your changes, but I believe it's hard to come back from multiple logs to a single one, back to a single one. So at least let's be able to enable. Well, once we have the new version, let's just be able to use the old one. Maybe not revert the existing data structure, but say like we have with messengers. So let's allow OSD to use either version 1 or version 2, not stick with the new version. Be unable to.
Well, at least nothing what I have in mind currently will invoke changes in data structures on disk, only in-memory data structures. So far, so good.
Oh, that's great.
There's probably a reasonable argument that with the progress that Sam is making on Store, that maybe switching away from like high performance BlueStore is something I struggle with too. How much do we invest in BlueStore at this point?
Spinners. For as long as we will have customers with spinners, we'll have to have BlueStore. Tam is telling that never will new store will be feasible to use on spinners. So I keep working on BlueStore.
Well, I agree with you, Adam. But my question for you then, to be a little to play devil's advocate, I guess, is does the locking actually affect the single lock? Does that actually impact performance on spinners?
Yes, I think so, because we still have usually two fast devices along with spinners.
Okay. I'm curious if it does, but if it does, then I applaud you. I just
Mark, I think even spinners have benefits for multitasking. If you're able to schedule more I/O, then the drive can reorder the commands in a more efficient way. So a single transition of the head will swap all the I/O in one direction. So you don't need to move the head for every I/O. So you could actually
yeah
save significant amount of time.
yeah. I guess what I was wondering is whether or not we already have enough I/O depth to really keep the hard drive full. If we don't, okay, I'll back off and just we. I'm not convinced, but I could be.
I mean, it depends on the firmware. I've seen drives which don't benefit much, and drives with smart firmware which could effectively make some of the I/O for free. So if you give it a queue of 32 IOs versus 4 IOs, it will execute about the same amount. Sorry, it will take almost the same amount of time to do the same number of IOs. Because if for every IO you would move the head, moving the head takes about 10 milliseconds. It's extremely slow operation. So in spinning right, you have the cost of the head movement, and then you have to wait for a spin, for a complete spin. Now with the 2.5 inches, the spin is not that bad. I mean, even with them, it's like you know how long it takes for a single rotation, but the rotation is not that bad. The biggest problem is moving the head. If you're able to get more IO from the same rotation, then you get them virtually for free. So
So
again, it
Adam,
depends.
do you think your locking changes will dramatically improve I/O depth for hard drives?
Dramatically, definitely not. But
No, I don't think so.
it's not going to be dramatic. But even if it gives you 10% extra performance, it's not something to skip.
But we also do OMAPs and other RocksDB stuff even on spinners, so that will be improved.
What? Okay, so you're thinking that potentially those OD sync writes to the write head log, if it's on a hard drive, that potentially this would allow you to avoid some of that. You'd get better I/O depth hitting the drive. Is that the thought?
No, I'm really not thinking that speeding up BlueFS will significantly improve I/O depth utilization on spinners, but it will be better, I mean, even if fractional for spinners, but definitely will improve for SSDs. I hope so.
Yeah. That's the question I keep asking myself, though. Like, how much do we invest in better, like, performance for NVMe drives and SSDs and BlueStore? I there's stuff that I feel like I want to do too, but then I have to ask myself, okay, should I just be trying to make Crimson and or better at that point? I don't know.
Well,
Just
do you, Mark, remember we had the Hacky unlock in some time ago? We committed into master in BlueFS write path. I used that Hacky commit. I mean, modified it, just for testing, and I got rid of any problems with buffered BlueFS writes. So this is what really keeps me wanting to redefine logs in BlueFS.
Okay.
Because we couldn't accept that commit. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
really fixing it is difficult.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck on it. Hopefully we can do it safely without. I share Igor's concerns about how scary sometimes some of this can be to change. So just be careful, I guess. Right?
If it will not be clear enough, I will just drop the concept. I don't want to break it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys? All right. Well, then, everyone in the U.S. have an excellent Memorial Day weekend. For everyone else, Red Hat, at least in the U.S., tomorrow is Recharge Day, and then Monday is holiday in the U.S. So long weekend, and I guess we will see everybody next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.